গুড ইভিনিং এভরিওয়ান। সবাই যেমনটা প্রিপারেশন চলছে সবারই জানি, ডেট ডিক্লেয়ার হয়ে গেছে এসএলএসটির। সিলেবাসের মধ্যে যে লুসি পোয়েম আছে তার মধ্যে সেকেন্ড লুসি পোয়েম হচ্ছে সি ডুয়েল্ট অ্যামং আনট্রোডেন ওয়েজ, সেটা আজকে ডিসকাস করব এবং তার এমসিকিউ 50 এমসিকিউ প্র্যাকটিস করব। 50 এমসিকিউ প্র্যাকটিস করার উদ্দেশ্য হচ্ছে, যদি তুমি অলরেডি প্রিপেয়ার করে নিয়েছো পোয়েমটা, কতটা পরিমাণে প্রিপারেশন কমপ্লিট হয়েছে সেটা চেক করার জন্য তুমি এই ভিডিওটা দেখতে পারো। এই ভিডিওটা দেখার পরে আমার মনে হয় যদি কোনো ডাউট থাকে তোমার, যে কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন মনে হয় তুমি অ্যাটেম্প করতে পারছো না, তার মানে তোমার পোয়েমটা কমপ্লিটলি প্রিপেয়ার্ড হয়নি। ওকে, সো যতটা সম্ভব ডিপলি কোয়েশ্চেন করার, যেমন কোয়েশ্চেন এক্সামে আসে এক্সাম ওরিয়েন্টেড কোয়েশ্চেন আমি ট্রাই করেছি কোয়েশ্চেন বানানোর, অনেক জায়গা থেকে খুঁজে, বিভিন্ন এক্সাম থেকে যে কোয়েশ্চেনগুলো আসে সেই জায়গা থেকে খুঁজে খুঁজে কোয়েশ্চেনগুলো রেডি করেছি। 50 কোয়েশ্চেন, মোস্ট ইম্পর্টেন্ট কোয়েশ্চেন, অ্যান্ড বিফোর learning the questions we should go through the poem also. Okay, so let's read the poem, then we will start the question answer part. So the name of the poem is The Sea Dwelt Among the Untrodden Ways by William Wordsworth, one of the famous Lucy poem you can say. So this Lucy poem started with like this: Sea dwelt among the untrodden ways, beside the spring of dove, a maid whom there were none to praise, and very few to love. A violet by mossy stone, half hidden from the eye, fair as a star when only one is a shining in the sky. She lived unknown, and few could know when Lucy ceased to be. But she is in her grave, and oh, the difference to me. So this poem, the name of the poem is She Dwelt Among the Untrodden Ways. This poem has 3 quatrains. 3 quatrains means 4-line stanza and 3 4-line stanza. Each stanza has 4 lines and the poem has 3 stanza. The rhyme scheme of the poem is ABAB, and you all know how to find out the rhyme scheme. রাইম স্কিম কীভাবে বার করতে হয় আমরা সবাই জানি, উই আর দ্য স্টুডেন্টস অফ লিটারেচার, অ্যান্ড ইট ইজ বেসিক থিংস টু নো অ্যাবাউট দ্য রাইম স্কিম। অ্যান্ড ইফ ইউ ওয়ান্ট টু নো হাউ টু ফাইন্ড আউট দ্য রাইম স্কিম, জাস্ট ডু নাথিং, just underline the last word. Okay, this last word. So suppose ways as a, and if it is similar to the second word dove, then we will write here a also. যদি সেকেন্ড ওয়ার্ডটাও একই রকম সাউন্ড প্রডিউস করে তাহলে আমরা এ লিখতাম, কিন্তু এখানে ওয়েজের সঙ্গে ডাবের মিল হচ্ছে না, তার জন্য আমরা এটাকে বি ধরে নিচ্ছি। এবং প্রেজ, সো প্রেজ অ্যান্ড ওয়েজ ক্যান বি read as a similar sounding word, ways and praise, so we can write a here. And love is dove, similar to dove, so love is similar to dove, so we can write a b a b. So this is the rhyme scheme of the poem, and it is published in 1800 in second edition of Lyrical Ballad, most important thing. Okay, and in this poem the person is about Lucy is discussed, and Lucy lives among the untrodden ways. Untrodden ways means in a isolated and away from society. Among the untrodden ways, the heading of the poem, among the untrodden ways, this means an isolated and away from society. And Lucy represents the unnoticed, and she represents the unnoticed beauty and quiet lives that often go celebrated. That means his uncelebrated figure, Lucy never celebrated. Lucy is never celebrated. She represents the unnoticed beauty and quiet lives that often go uncelebrated. Okay, and Lucy compared to a violet, a mossy stone, as you can see on the second stanza, first line. She is compared to a violet by a mossy stone and a solitary star. It's a natural, quiet, yet striking. Solitary means alone, and these metaphors highlights her modest and understated beauty. These metaphors, you know, the figure of speech where two unlike things compared directly, that is metaphor. And opposite of a related figure of speech of metaphor is a simile, and it is also similar to the metaphor. Two unlike things compared using as or like, that is simile. So here the second stanza, a violet by a mossy stone half hidden from the eye, fair as a star. As you can see, the fair as a star, as is used here in the third line of the second stanza, as is used here. So this is an example of simile. The final stanza, as you can see, the final stanza reveals her death. After reading the final stanza, we can understood that Lucy is no more. Lucy passed away. It reveals her news of death. The world remains unchanged. The world remains unchanged. Few could know. As you can see in the third stanza, a few could know when Lucy ceased to be. But the speaker feels profound personal loss. The speaker, Wordsworth here, the poet himself, feels profound personal loss. Oh, the difference to me. The line suggests, oh, the difference to me. That means it shows the speaker feels profound personal loss. The speaker has lost something. And the poem, in this poem, Wordsworth uses natural symbols like violet, star, mossy stone to reflect Lucy's character. Natural imagery. Wordsworth uses natural imagery or natural symbols like violet, star, mossy stone to reflect Lucy's character. And also Wordsworth uses some symbolism to express or to reflect Lucy's character. The violet and the lonely star both symbolize hidden, precious beauty of the person of Lucy. The tone of the poem is quietly mournful, introspective and reverent. The tone of the poem is quietly mournful, that means a tone of sadness. This poem can be read as a celebration of anonymous beauty and personal connection. After reading this poem, we can say that this poem can be read as a celebration of anonymous beauty and personal connection. It might also reflect romantic ideals, nature, emotion, and individual and unnoticed sublime or unnoticed beauty. Lucy can be seen as a symbol, not necessarily a real person, representing transient beauty and loss. So we can understood that Lucy can be seen as a symbol, not necessarily she is a real person. It can also represent, the name Lucy can also represent the transient beauty and loss. The most important points are from this poem that Lucy is a symbol of unrecognized beauty and personal loss. The poem is a classic example of romantic lyric poetry. It demonstrates Wordsworth's belief in the beauty of common life and nature. The contrast between Lucy's insignificance to society and importance to the poet is crucial. So these are the explanation of the poem. Now we will go to the MCQ part or the question answer part of the poem. So the first question, that is the 51 number question. Why it is written here 51? Because we have discussed 50 question before already and the previous poem. If you want to practice the previous poem, Strange Fits of Anger, you can go to the video description. I will give the link of the previous video, okay? Or you can simply go through the poem. Okay, so the first question is, how is Lucy described in the first stanza? So we have read the poem, and after reading we can easily understood how is Lucy described in the first stanza. Bold and adventurous? No. Lonely? Lonely and unnoticed? Yes. Lonely and unnoticed. Thus, the title itself, Untrodden, Lucy lives untrodden ways. That means a lonely and unnoticed. Lucy is lonely and unnoticed. This is the answer of the first question. Question number 2 is, which flower is Lucy compared to? I think those who are watching this video from the beginning, they can answer it very most of you can answer. This is the very easiest question, I think. Which flower is Lucy compared to? So as we know, this is a poem, and in this poem a daisy is not mentioned, a rose is not mentioned, a lily is not mentioned, only mention is violet. So this flower is compared to Lucy. And I also explain, or I also mentioned, fair as a star is an example of simile. I have explained this. And what is personification? Personification is to give human quality to inanimate object. When we give human quality to inanimate or non-living object, that is personification. Hyperbole, when we express or explain something in an exaggeration manner, that is hyperbole. And what is metaphor? Two unlike things, when we compare two unlike things directly, that is metaphor. Okay, so where did Lucy live? Next question is, where did Lucy live? So we know that where did Lucy live? So Lucy lives among the untrodden ways. It is a simple question and simple answer. Everyone can answer. What is the mood of the final stanza? At the end of the poem, we come to know that it is not about excitement. It is not about excitement. It is not about hope. It is not about anger. It's a feeling of melancholy. Right. Next question is, how or what effect did Lucy's death have on the world? The effect of Lucy's death, or it doesn't affect the world actually. No one noticed. She is unnoticed or uncelebrated figure. So no effect to the world. No one noticed. Next question, what does the poet say about his personal feeling for Lucy? What does the poet say about his personal feeling? Personal feeling of the poet is that the poet loved her. That's why he said the line. Okay, that differs to me. So this is the answer. What is the rhyme scheme of the poem? I discussed during the explanation of the poem. You can watch the video from the beginning to learn how to find out the rhyme scheme of a poem. I also discuss about that. So the rhyme scheme of this poem is A B A B. 59. Question number 59. But she is in her grave. But she is in her grave. Oh, the difference to me. This shows what? This shows what? It is irony? No, it is not irony. It is apathy? No, it is not apathy. It is deep personal grief? Yes, it is deep personal grief. The deep loss, the greatest loss to the speaker. He loses someone. The deep personal grief. Okay, the theme of the poem is mainly about. It is about celebration of success. No, It is about beauty of nature. No. It is about joy of childhood. No. It is about unnoticed lives and grief. This is the answer of question number 60. The poem suggests the poem suggests Lucy lived in a well-known city. No. In a public grandeur? No. In a royal company? No. So secrecy and obscurity. So see where she lived, no one noticed her. That's why it is a secrecy. The answer of the question number 61 is option B. What is the meaning of untrodden ways? What is the meaning of untrodden ways? So I think most of you can answer. Mountain peaks, paths never taken, busy highways, or deserted castles. Deserted castle will not be the answer. Mountain peaks will not be the answer. Busy highways will not be the answer. Paths never taken. That means no one goes that place. No one walks on the path. That's why it's a untrodden ways. Lucy's beauty is described as loud and confident. No. Fashionable and adorned. Mythical and wild. No. Delicate and natural. This is the answer. Option number B. Delicate and natural. Why was Lucy few could know? Why was Lucy few could know? That means why the poet said not everyone knows her, only few could know. Why was Lucy few could know? So Lucy was a few could know because she lived in a isolation. That means in a very lonely place. In a lonely place. She lived in a lonely place. That's why few could know. Okay. What is the speaker reaction to Lucy's death? What is the speaker's reaction of Lucy's death? Public mourning? No. Why it is not public mourning? Because not everyone aware about Lucy. It's an artistic celebration? No. It is a religious devotion? No. It's a private, personal grief of the poet William Wordsworth. The phrase she lived unknown. The phrase she lived unknown highlights her wealth? No. Her celebrity? No. Her illness? No. Her invisibility to the world? No one knows her. She is invisible to the world. The comparison to a violet suggests Lucy was. The comparison to a violet suggests Lucy was proud? No. Vibrant and bold? No. Outspoken? No. The answer will be option C. Modest and lovely. What is ironic about the final line? The difference to me. What is the irony lies in the final line? The difference to me. Here, irony is a figure of speech. Okay, irony is one of the figure of speech, and in this poem, this figure of speech or irony is used. The difference to me, and the meaning is about only the speaker feels her absence. Only the speaker feels her absence. The speaker's feeling are what? Profoundly sincere. This will not. Okay. Next. The poem is a reflection on anonymous beauty and unnoticed lives. Anonymous beauty and unnoticed lives. What aspect of Lucy's personality emphasized through her isolation? What aspect of Lucy's personality emphasized through her isolation? her quiet dignity. Option C will be the correct answer. Which season is indirectly suggested in the comparison like a violet, okay. So here in the poem, the season indirectly suggested in the comparison like a violet is spring. Most important question, okay. 73. What does the mossy stone near the violet suggest? It suggests us about isolation in nature. How many stanzas are there in the poem? So there are 3 stanzas, and each stanza has 4 lines. That is quatrain. 4 lines are called quatrain. Okay. 75 number question. The final stanza express the personal loss of the poem of the poet William Wordsworth. The poem celebrates heroism, no. Loud personalities, no. Adventure, no. Quiet and unnoticed lives. The diction or word choice of the poem is mostly simple and emotional. Most of the poem written by William Wordsworth, he used simple language, the language of common people. According to him, the poem should be written in a common language of the common people. 78. What poetic technique is used in a violet mossy stone? What poetic technique is used here? So here a poetic technique used in 78 number question, a violet by a mossy stone is a simile. It is a simile. Fair as stir. This is also an example of simile, contributes to the poem's theme of distant, unrecognized beauty. Okay. Question number 80. What emotion does the speaker likely want the reader to feel? What emotion does the speaker likely want the reader to feel? The speaker or the writer William Wordsworth wants that the reader should feel the compassion and sadness of him, the personal loss of William Wordsworth. In next question, the contrast between Lucy's unnoticed life and the speaker's grief created what? Is it created comedy? No, it is not created comedy, and we all know what is comedy. Is it paradox? No. It is tension? No, it is irony. It's irony. Okay. Irony means what the reader thinks but happened opposite. That is irony. Question number 82. What is the main literary device used in the poem? The main literary device is used in the poem is imagery. Okay. What is imagery? Imagery is that when we read or hear some explanation or description, or when we read any poem or any stories, that time some images is created in our mind, that is imagery, or it touch our sense organ, that we can feel the taste, we can feel the sound or hear the sound. Okay, so these are the imagery, and here the main literary device used in the poem is imagery. How does the natural world reflect Lucy's character? How does the natural world reflects Lucy's character? The Lucy's character reflected in the poem as it is hidden and delicate. It is hidden and delicate. The title of the poem suggests Lucy lived in an isolated area. In a foreign country? No. In an aristocratic house? No. In a convent? No. The answer will be option B, a remote and natural setting. What feeling does the poet seem to avoid expressing directly? Avoid expressing directly. So here in the poem, grief seem to be avoid expressing directly. The poem can be best described as, this poem can be best described as lyrical elegy. Lyrical elegy, option C, lyrical elegy. What is sonnet? Sonnet is a 14-line poem, okay, and it has a sestet and octave in Italian sonnet. But when Shakespeare introduced sonnet in a new way, that sonnet has 3 quatrains and a concluding couplet. Okay, so these are the Shakespearean sonnet or English sonnet, you can say. Which romantic theme is prominent in this poem? Which romantic theme is prominent in this poem? So question number 87, the answer will be C, the common, individual and nature. As I have discussed earlier also, that in the romantic period, the poems are written with common language, a common individual and on nature. That's why this age or this period is known as romantic period. And romantic period started or in 1798 with the publication of lyrical ballad that is written by William Wordsworth, okay, and in collaboration with St. Coleridge. The poem was first published, question number 88, the first published in which Wordsworth collection? This poem firstly published in where? In a collection of lyrical ballad, and this is written in 1798, and on the second edition, that is 1800, on the second edition, this poem published on the second edition of lyrical ballad. The phrase few could know implies what about Lucy's life? The phrase few could know what implies about the Lucy's life. She lived in obscurity, that implies in the line or in the phrase few could know. What makes Lucy's death tragic according to the poem? What makes Lucy's death tragic according to the poem? Her youth and obscurity. Her youth and obscurity will be the correct answer. How is the poem structured? How is the poem structured in the terms of line per stanza? So as I have discussed also in the starting of the poem, so you can see the video from the beginning, then you will understood, or you can also understood you by yourself also. It is a 4 line, that means quatrain, and total number of stanza is 3. So you can say it's a quatrains, 4 line stanza per stanza, okay, in terms to line per stanza, 4 lines, quatrain, it is quatrain. The line, a maid whom there were none to praise, a maid whom there were none to praise, it reflects what? It reflects the world's indifference, about Lucy. What does the speaker gain? What does the speaker gain from knowing Lucy? What does the speaker gain from knowing Lucy? A deep sense of connection, a deep sense of connection. Lucy's character serves a symbol of, Lucy's character serves a symbol of what? Lost innocence, lost innocence. The comparison to a star suggests the comparison to a star suggests that her quite distant beauty. Her quite distant beauty. Option B is correct answer. Which best describes the poem Stone? Out of the four options, which best describes the poem Stone? Reflective and mournful. Option B. Reflective and mournful describe the poem best in a best way. How is Lucy different from typical heroines in literature? How is Lucy different from the typical heroines in literature? So Lucy is passive and unknown. That's why she is different from other heroines in literature, because all other character or the heroines of literature were well known or famous. Okay, and but here in the poem, Lucy is passive and unknown to the world. She lives alone in a solitary way. The repetition of the sentence, the repetition of she lived unknown and a few could known emphasizes what? The repetition of she lived unknown and few could known. It emphasizes what? It emphasizes her isolation. Her isolation. What might the poem be saying about unnoticed individual? What might the poem be saying about unnoticed individual? The poem Unnoticed Individual saying about unnoticed and individual, they matter deeply to some. They matter deeply to some. They matter deeply to some. The answer of the 99 is option B. And the last but not the least, the last line of the difference to me best conveys. The last line, this difference to me best conveys. What did it explain? Explain the speaker's deep emotional loss. The speaker deep emotional loss. Okay. So on the next video, we will discuss about I traveled among unknown man. There is a there is a more 50 question is there. So we will discuss this on the next videos with the poem explanation. Okay. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you like this session or if you like the information shared in this video, you can like this video, you can subscribe my channel to get such type of videos. Thank you for watching this video.